Tic-Ricky Tic, Volumes, Prelude, D-A.
Okay, Rick at about the age of 14 months was celebrating his second Christmas, and he was a mischief maker, always into things. I was in the kitchen of this house talking on the phone. At that time, we didn't have cell phones. Phones were plugged into the wall. You could only walk as far as the cord would let you. And we had a Christmas tree decorated. And Rick was coming from the living room where the tree was into the kitchen where I was, and he had something silver shining in his hand. When I asked him, "What do you have?" he bit into it, and it shattered. It was a ornament from the tree. He cut a little bit on his mouth. It wasn't bad. But we had Christmas that year where both of the kids got tricycles, matching tricycles, and gun and holster set, cowboy hats. Everything had to match because they both wanted to play with each other's toys. Rich came to a situation where Rick wanted a doll. His sister had dolls, and we got him a molded rubber type doll that had clothes that were painted on, little blue shorts and a white top, and it had a little hat painted on, no actual hair, and that satisfied him. He was happy with that. We had neighbors that had 15 children, the youngest of which was approximately the same age as Rick. He was a little fighter. He would come over and instead of saying hi, he would punch Rick, punch him in the face. And one day when I was ironing, which was close to the door of the back porch where the boys were, Jimmy punched Rick, and I turned around and I said, "Instead of crying, you punch him back, or if not, I will." So he did, and after that, they were friends. The summer, when Rick was about 2.5, we had the people next door that had the 15 children had to add on to their single-story house by putting a second story on top of the first, and the porch area and actually the kitchen area remained a single story. And Tom the owner of the house, had to fix the roof. There had been a leak. So he took the shingles off and put the black tar paper on the house. And before he could get back to put the shingles on, Kim and Rick decided to have an adventure. I went outside to look for them, and they said, "Hi, Mom," and there they were, sitting on top of the single story. And I think the only thing that kept them from falling off, because their feet were over the edge of the roof, was the tar paper itself had melted enough so that it held them in place with the shorts that they were wearing. So I had to go up the ladder one at a time and bring them down.
Candy store?
We had a store within a half a block away from the house that was like a Quick Mart.
Didn't the people actually live in the store?
Yeah, there was
it was an apartment, and they had
a small house behind the store itself. And the big attraction for the kids was their glassed-in counter that had a lot of penny candy. You could buy a whole brown paper bag full of candy for very little money. many of the pieces of candy you got for several pieces for a penny. And one of the favorites was the paper strips that had little different colored sugar button candy on them, which you would eat off of the paper or peel them off. Another thing they had was little plastic wax bottles, which you clear bottles with like a type of a Kool-Aid in it. You bite off the top of the bottle and drink the Kool-Aid, and then you chew the wax, which would be almost like gum, until the flavor was gone, and then you tossed it.
Okay, I think that's about it. Next thing is we moved to New Hope. We had our own house. And then what happened when we went to the neighbors?
We were visiting one of the neighbors. They had a couple kids the same age as him and Rick. And they had, we both had similar houses with an open porch. And they were told not to ride the tricycle on the porch, but somehow or another Rick managed to get the bike up on the porch, or it was there already, and he was either backed off or was pushed off the porch when he was on the trike. He hit his head on a cement block, the type used for foundations in houses. It was a broken block. It had the broken side up, and it was supporting a drain pipe from the house. He hit his head, cried, which alarmed us, and we came out and saw what had happened. I didn't have a vehicle to get him to the doctor or the hospital. In fact, we were so new in the neighborhood, we didn't really have a doctor yet. So one of the neighbors drove Rick and I to the hospital. She had a cake in her oven, so one of the other neighbors sat at her house until the cake was done. And after getting to the hospital, we waited for some time and was taken care of. The doctor cleaned the wound, which had really stopped bleeding by then, and used a product called New Skin, which is an aerosol can. And that pretty well sealed everything up. Our ride home was his dad picking us up, Rick's dad, picking us up from the hospital. And that was the end of that story.
We all three rode in the front seat.
Yeah, we all rode in the front seat.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll pause there. The next chain of event that happened that was really not great, but devastating, actually. It was a devastating thing. The Clark boy, all of a sudden I can't remember his first name now. Alan B. Clark, B standing for Brian. He had a younger brother that, I don't know, was born after he died or not. But anyways, he drowned in the man-made lake they were digging called Northwood Park. And it can be seen on the video, True Confessions by Ricky Tic. So that's that. Brian B. Clark died at the age of 6, drowning. I was 5, and Paul was 6, and the 6 o'clock was